Tiffany Henyard has decided to come clean about her assault on the village of Dolton's finances. Well, sort of. She now admits that perhaps her expenses were a bit extravagant. But she's not to blame. I mean, how could she be? Who could look at that innocent face and even think that she would do anything untoward to anyone, especially an entire village? So what happened? In this video, her lawyer will tell us. Put on your boots. It's about to get really deep. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Investigative reporter Ben Bradley shows what those records reveal.
For a year now, we've been reporting on questionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard.
You don't have to go through such a lengthy description of her. Everyone knows her. Go to England and all the locals will ask, "Oh, you're American? I see. Well, I must ask, that crooked mayor, the tiff as you call her, is she truly as despicable as everyone claims?" Seriously, just call her Tiff. As in, for years now, we've been wondering how Tiff spent so much money.
But we only knew half the story because we only had records from one of the two governments she runs. Now we can show you the real toll her travel is taking on taxpayers.
Somehow the prosecution should find a way to slip this video in front of the jury. That'll fix her.
The self-proclaimed super mayor is a prolific poster on social media, but what she rarely publicizes are her travels, trips frequently paid for by taxpayers.
If you want to have a good time, spend your own dime.
Despite being a trustee, this is the first time Tammy Brown has been able to see the village's credit card statements, records we had to get through a judge's order.
When you see things like this, it's like a punch in the gut.
Last January, we told you Tiffany Henyard and her entourage racked up more than $67,000 in travel-related charges in just 5 months. But that's just what was charged to Thornton Township credit cards, where she's the supervisor. When you add in what was billed to Dolton, trips for Mayor Henyard and her entourage cost taxpayers more than $100,000. We questioned Henyard about travel last fall.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas?
Well, we're waiting.
What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
Well, yeah. Why won't you answer my question?
When Henyard hits the road, she and other village and township officials do so in style. Records show they often fly first class, pay for upgrades. They've stayed at luxury hotels, including the Four Seasons, and dine at steakhouses.
Oh my God. When you just see these things.
Let's look at one trip to Austin, Texas in July of last year. 5 people, including Mayor Henyard, for 5 days. While we previously reported the township was billed $27,000, we now know the actual cost was more than $47,000 when you factor in what Dolton taxpayers were charged.
By the way, I have another video coming on what the expenses should have been.
It includes nearly $1,000 spent at an Austin Walgreens and a sports riding apparel store. The only explanation for any of the travel was that it was to attend a conference.
I'm sure you guys had an awesome time on the backs of taxpayers, but what do we gain from any of these trips? We gain nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you under the mistaken belief that these trips were for the benefit of the municipalities? Where'd you ever get that impression?
Trustees say they've been demanding explanations for months.
You the ones that's costing the village money.
I don't know how they call. All right. Okay.
But Henyard and her team refused to share the credit card records.
We were never allowed to get those statements. So this is the reason why you hid it from us, because definitely we will have questions.
Mayor Henyard is in a situation where she feels like she's under attack.
Because she is. Yeah, she's under attack because she's guilty. What kind of defense is this? My client is innocent because everyone hates her.
Because she is.
Bo Brinley is Henyard's criminal defense attorney, hired after the FBI served subpoenas on the village and township earlier this year. He blames Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman.
Keith Freeman made the decision on how these funds are being used. Keith Freeman is going on these trips.
Well, so is Tiffany.
You understand, this is a new mayor. This is someone that is new to this job.
What kind of defense is this? Her strategy is to blame someone else? Dude, you just sunk her. The law isn't going to care about this. She's not a child. She's not mentally incapacitated. This isn't a case where an adult exploited someone incapable of understanding right from wrong. She's the freaking mayor of a town. As far as the law is concerned, she's the manager. It's always her fault. And she didn't come to her position inexperienced. She had already been a Board of Trustee member for 8 years. And she's always bragging about how she has to educate the public on how cities are run. She's become overly arrogant about how smart she is. Oh, and after the traveling was over, she tried to hide what she did. She didn't come back and tell everyone how much she spent. They even had to get a court to force her to release the credit card statements. The fact that she tried to avoid disclosing her expenses is more than enough evidence to show that she knew that what she was doing was wrong. And by the way, is she now finally admitting that there were exorbitant expenses racked up on the taxpayer's dime? It seems that this is a confession that the taxpayers got screwed.
But she never thought, hey, I shouldn't fly first class. I shouldn't stay at the Four Seasons.
If there was a problem with any of that, if that's not how you're supposed to do it, she relied on Freeman to tell her. He's telling her this is how we do things.
Keith Freeman was hired after her, not before. He wasn't some old hand at overcharging the village. And if I recall, she is the one that demanded that the board approve of her hiring him. The board wanted more time to do a background check, and she said no. Now she's claiming that he's the crook, and she bears no responsibility? So according to Tiff's lawyer, it went down like this.
First-class flights? Don't you think that's overdoing it? This is being paid by the taxpayers. It's a poor town. I can't, in good faith, charge these huge expenses to such poor people. Don't you think that's overdoing it?
No, don't you worry your pretty little head. That's just how we do it here in Dolton.
How things were done in Dolton is costing taxpayers dearly. Records we obtained show the village leased 3 luxury SUVs for Henyard's use at a cost to residents of more than $374,000.
The mayor didn't spend any of this money. Keith Freeman made decisions and reported to the mayor, this is what we're doing. The mayor trusted him until she didn't.
About that. This is me talking to people that understand business, that understand finance.
How can you say that she didn't spend any of this money? Tiffany signed the checks. It's her name on the bank account as an authorized signatory, not Freeman. Oh, are you watching former cop Louis Lacey? Are you? Just wait until the FBI starts discussing issues related to the police department. Gee, I wonder who she'll blame for that.
Back to those Dolton credit cards. They include nearly $25,000 charged in 5 months without explanation to places like Walmart, Target, and Jewel. There was $5,000 spent at local restaurants and Uber Eats. And Tiffany Henyard's personal photographer charged the village $3,400.
What I think is interesting about this case, this story, is you can be highly legal and unethical at the same time.
Kelly Richmond Pope is an accounting professor who has investigated municipal spending. She says the brazenness is what caught her eye.
Who does this?
This person. Meet Tiffany Henyard. I thought you were acquainted with her.
Who lives this way so out loud. It's almost like, I dare you to ask. I dare you to ask me. And I'm just shocked that a leader would think that they could get away with this type of behavior and that no one's going to ask them about it.
We out here, taste of Dolton. Yeah, keep raining, but it's still going on.
Trustees for both of the governments headed by Henyard have now limited special event and credit card spending, but it may be too little, too late. Dolton is laying off workers after trustees discovered the village is millions in the hole.
We sort of knew we were in a bind, but not to this extent. This is devastating.
Federal prosecutors charged Keith Freeman with bankruptcy fraud. He's now cooperating with trustees investigating Henyard's spending, but he denies he's working with the feds. Freeman declined to comment.
So in the end, Tiffany has a new lawyer, and it's going loco. In an upcoming video, I will tell you exactly how much I think that they should have spent on this Austin trip. It's not $40-something thousand. Also have a message for Tiffany, but I was going to put it in this video, but I want to keep this one down in size, so it will have to wait. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.